Hey BookTube, this is the not suitable for work tag.
I got my ticket for the long way round.
Well, welcome to day 3 of my week of tags. This is the NSFW tag, and it was created by Katie at Chapster Stacks and Luke at Luke Lane Reads. I was tagged by Joe at Joe Reads Books, and as I was watching her do this tag, I watched her video, and I thought, oh my gosh, what book would I choose? And then she tagged me. I thought, oh great, now I've got to come up with answers. So it was an interesting, time trying to figure out answers to these questions. So let's just get going. Okay, first of all, what is the last book you would want your parents to walk in on you reading? Well, I'm going to go with my husband, since my parents are older and I've been an adult. I am the parent, really. So, probably I should tell you what I would be mortified to walk in on my kids reading. For me, I asked my husband about this, and I said, what book would, scandalize you if you saw me reading it? And he said, I don't know, how about Divorce for Dummies? And he said something about ways to murder your husband. So I looked up that title to see if there was a book, and there actually is a novel by Kathy Lett called How to Kill Your Husband and Other Household Hints. Yeah, so if he saw me reading either of those, he would be mortified, and so would I. Okay, question 2. It's storming outside and you're home alone for the night. What book would make matters worse? The Shining by Stephen King. I read that book in high school and I was terrified. I literally had to go sit next to my mom. She was in her bedroom, sitting in a rocker, reading with the light on. And I sat on the floor and read The Shining while she was sitting there with the light on. So I had my mommy and my light. It sounds so ridiculous now, but man, I was about 16 and I was just afraid. That's a terrifying book. It's a very scary book. Question 3. Have you ever read a book simply because of the controversy surrounding it? Actually, yes, I have. And it was Ender's Game by Orson Scott Card. The reason I read that, well, first of all, it's one of my daughter's favorite books. And she, my daughters kept saying, oh, you got to read it. You got to read it. Oh, you got to read it. And then I found out about all the controversy surrounding this guy. And I went ahead and read it anyway, and I saw the movie. And I think it's a good story, and he's an award-winning author who is prolific. He's written all kinds of sci-fi. He's done all kinds of things, and I don't think that he's the horrible person that many people believe that he is. And, yeah, that's just how I feel about it. I think, if he offended me by the things he said, I would probably disagree with him, but I disagree with a lot of people, and I don't think he's a horrible person, so yeah. Number 4, what is the most cringe-inducing romance or sex scene you have ever read? Well, there was a book I read, an ebook, called Falling Into You by Jacinda Wilder, and that book had some stuff in it that I just, I have my limits. I read a lot of new adult contemporary, which is chock full of sex and people having sex and all kinds of, I would say that that book had some stuff that really pushed my limits. So, Number 5, what book has made you question the author's sanity? I can't think of a book. There are plenty of books that I don't like. There was one book I read recently that I just thought, this has no plot, this is stupid, what was he thinking? But I didn't question his sanity. So, yeah, I don't know. Don't have an answer for that one. Number 6, have you ever put down a book and not finished it because of the content being too much for you? Yes. I've put these books down, and I did finish them, but I didn't want to. I just thought that they would redeem themselves in the end. One was 4 Seconds to Lose by K.A. Tucker. I think the jury's out for me on K.A. Tucker. 4 Seconds to Lose, it was a contemporary romance, new adult, but it was set against the backdrop of a strip club and kind of the seedier side of life. The mob was involved. A girl's life was threatened. Like, as she stood there threatened, a guy had a gun in her face, and I don't know that was appropriate for a new adult romance. I understand that you can get to the grittier stuff, but that just went a little too gritty for me. And I did finish it, but I thought, this was not for me. And the other book was Monsters by Ilsa J. Bick. And that's the third book in the Ashes trilogy. That book had such horrifying things in it. It's about zombies. It's kind of post-apocalyptic, and the action just does not quit. These characters never get a break, and it was too much for me. Especially the torture scenes where, this character is made to eat people, and it's disgusting, and no, just not for me. Number 7, what fictional character do you have the most not suitable for work thoughts about? I don't have one character in particular that I think that stuff about. It's more of a conglomeration of several characters kind of rolled into one. I have like an ideal person that I would, think was fabulous. So not really any one character that I can point to. Number 8, show us your most NSFW book cover. Well, I am going to go with Unwrapping Liam by Jennifer Albin, just because this girl is naked. She's clearly naked. This is a Kindle book. It's a novella. So I love the story. I love the characters, but they're naked on that cover. And this probably is not nearly as racy a cover as I could have found if I had really looked in a bookstore or something. But yeah, of the books I own, that's the raciest cover that I could find. Number 9, have you ever read something from the erotica/romance genre, and what did you think? Romance, yes, I read a lot of romance. Erotica, not so much, because, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of sex in a lot of the books that I read, and I don't have a problem with that, but I have to tell you that it's about the romance for me. I am a hopeless romantic, and I am all about the falling in love and the infatuation. And I do not want to read chick lit about, life further down the road. I want to read about the Cinderella stories. I want to read about the young kids who fall in love, and let's just leave it at that. Happily ever after, Cinderella and the prince are, rolling down the road, and we're seeing them in the back of the carriage as they kiss. I love romance. I love the falling in love part. Infatuation's like a drug. It really is. So, sometimes there's some sex that goes along with that, and I think that's just part of our culture these days. So, of course, it's going to be included in kind of coming-of-age stories and that sort of thing. But, yeah, erotica, no. Romance, yes. And number 10, you stumble across a port key. Which fictional world would you not want to be transported to? Well, I read a lot of dystopia, so I could come up with a lot of worlds, but I'm going to go with 3. The first is Dark Eden by Chris Beckett, and this is a sci-fi book, but it's set on a planet that has no light. There isn't any light, there's no light source, there's no sun. All the light comes from the plants and some of the animals. So it's a very dark world, sort of, or muted, strange colors, and there's a lot of incest because they're growing their population. They're trying to grow their society. So no, don't want to go to that one. Also, the world of Article 5. There's Article 5, Breaking Point, and 3, all by Kristen Simmons. This is YA, dystopian, and I would not want to live in that world because the fundamentalist right has taken over the government and instituted some kind of articles, I guess, and they've thrown out the Bill of Rights and replaced them with this. And there are a lot of things about it that exclude a lot of our population, and they'd be running for their lives and in trouble, and I would get in trouble too for harboring all of them. So, no, would not want to live in that society. And the last one is Uninvited by Sophie Jordan. And in that world, they've discovered a genetic propensity, a genetic possibility that you could be a homicidal maniac. And anybody with the gene gets targeted and put in detention camps and, isolated from society, and that's just a slippery slope. I mean, oh boy, that's no. Would not want to live there. Wouldn't want to live in the world of Unwind by Neil Shusterman either. Oh my gosh, that is a nightmare. If you don't like your kid between the ages of 13 and 18, then they can be unwound and dismembered for body parts. Oh my gosh, horrific situation. So no, thank you. I just as soon live here with the problems we already have in America, where I live in luxury. Anyway, that is the NSFW tag. I will be back tomorrow with another tag. I may tag some people at the end of this video. I may not. I don't know. I don't know who's done this tag, so I'll have to look that up and see. But anyway, that's it for now for me. I'll see you tomorrow, and thanks for watching.
I'm gone. You're gonna miss me when I'm gone. You're gonna miss me by my walk. You're gonna miss me by my talk. Oh, you're gonna miss me when I'm gone.